How are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm on my way to the gym. I forgot I had this meeting, so I pulled over.
Oh, I appreciate it. I won't hold you too long. I appreciate your time. I've wanted to talk to you for so long, but whenever you've had a fight, something has happened that I can't get to your fight, but I've been able to see your fights on TV. So I'm really excited to talk to you today.
Thank you.
I enjoy so much. I love your personality and how much character you have. And there were two things you posted that tickled me to death. One was falling down with the rollerblades, because I'm a Californian too, and I have been it many times the same way. So what
Uh,
happened on the rollerblade day?
I mean, it's been a long time since I got on a pair of rollerblades. We went through, that's like right when quarantine hit, and none of us had any idea really how long it was going to last. But basically, my best friend from LA flew out, and then Ginny, who is my other best friend, who is out here. So we kind of all were just under the same roof for a week, trying to figure out how to like keep ourselves entertained. And it just started with clearing out all the furniture in the living room and dancing to Shania Twain like we used to do when we were 5, 6, 7 years old. Yeah,
That's
definitely took
awesome.
it outside. We took it outside to the streets, and it ended badly.
It was cute though. It looked real fashion too. Even with the fall, it still looked real fashion.
Thank you, thank you.
And then the other thing that tickled me was Mikey, the photographer's photo shoot on Halloween, the night you won the title, but the Halloween photo shoot where Mark popped up out on you guys. What do you remember about that? Did it even seem off to you when you first walked in to do the shots?
No, it didn't. They played it off really well. Did not seem off to me. Because we've done this before, right? The only difference is we were in a hotel room because of the whole bubble situation. But they got me good, and I'm not surprised that they got me. Like, I'm a chicken when it comes to that stuff. Everyone scares me super easily, and I'm usually the one scaring other people. Ask Ginny, so I probably deserved it, but it was good. They got me good. They didn't get everyone else. I think they got me the best.
That was awesome though. No, they got the my one sister there who one of the knockouts. She was on the ground. That was pretty
Oh
funny
yeah,
too.
got her too.
But
Yeah.
that was cool. I enjoyed that very much. So that is the night you win the WBO super featherweight title. You know, you work all your career to get to this point as a professional. What do you remember most about that night and the win? Because it was an expert fight. You know, you boxed the clinic, you had a really wonderful performance. So what do you remember most about that night?
It was a really interesting fight for a couple of reasons. First, I'll go over the fight. So this whole camp, like I've been confident that I'm way more well rounded and better skills than Ava Brodnika. And I was confident going into the fight the entire time. But the entire camp, Coach Al was like, "Listen, I know you're gonna win, and I know you feel good, but this style can be really tricky. She big circles, she runs around the ring, and then she holds." And I'm like, he's like, that style can really throw you off. And it's like, it's not just about you winning, it's about you looking good. So we really trained for that style. And once again, Coach Al was right on the money, because I get in the ring with her and I didn't feel like my punches were coming off because that style was in fact tricky. So, you know, I'm glad that Coach Al sort of like drilled that game plan to me, because when I got in there, we definitely had to resort to the game plan, because it was annoying. The second I was able to close the space, she would grab me up and tie me. So, um, that's why Coach Al is like such an amazing strategist. Like, he just sees things that no one else does and prepares me no matter what, for the worst case scenario. So, um, that was what kind of went on through my mind the fight. After the fight, like, it was so weird. I just, when you have a world title fight, it's supposed to be a different kind of energy. It was different. I'd fought in the bubble before, but it wasn't really that big of a deal because it wasn't a world title fight. But this one seemed a little bit like off. Like, I didn't get the belt put around my waist after, because she left it in the locker room.
Mhm.
Um, didn't have the fans screaming and yelling, and so it didn't really feel like a world title fight. But at the end of the day, like, I got the win, I got the belt. A little bit late, but I got it, and that's what I needed to get me to the next step. This wasn't the ultimate goal. This was just a step. Winning this belt is going to put me in line, for these other belts to go undisputed. put me in line for these bigger fights that are ahead of me, or the biggest fights are ahead of me. There's no more easy fights from here on out. So that's the most important thing.
Yeah, it's a tough road there in the super featherweight division. I've been watching the back and forth with you and Terry Harper and Maivia and there's another person in the mix. And so ultimately, I think it looked like you really wanted to fight with Terry Harper, but
Mhm.
she went in another direction and she's going to fight the WBA champ. And then there's been some talks about you negotiating Top Rank on your behalf with Maivia. Is that how you say her first name?
Meva Hamadouche.
Yeah,
Yeah, Meva. I've been
who is the IBF champion. So possible unification there, possible unification on the other side. But in your mind, what does the road to unifying the full division, what does a undisputed road look like? What would be the best scenario in your opinion for you?
well, yeah, it was obvious. Like I originally was calling out Terry Harper, and this goes way back. Like this goes back to like a year and a half ago when she got the world title fight against Ava Wallstrom, who I was under the impression we were in negotiation with, and sort of just kind of like out of nowhere we hear that the fight's on between her and Harper, and I was number one contender in that division. She was number 13, and so that's where the beef sort of came on, and I started openly talking about that and openly saying like, hey, I want a world title fight. I've been number one contender in this division for over a year. She's number 13, and that's the sort of the start of the beef. And so yeah, that beef has been going on, and I ideally would like to fight Terry Harper first. When I started calling her out, she told me, you don't even have a world title, go get a belt and then come knocking. And so that's exactly what I did. And now look, they've reserved a fight for her against Hayami Choi, who is a WBA champ, and Terry's injured. She has a broken hand. She's already signed a deal for that. So there's more reason for me just to, keep calling her out and keep talking. But in the meantime, like, I want to unify this division. I'm not going to sit around and wait for her. And people didn't think I was going to take a fight against Hamadouche. I don't know why. I've only been calling out Terry just because that's where the whole beef started. But I'm glad to fight any one of the world champions. I want to unify right away. I don't want to put my belt on the line for a non-unification fight. So now we are in discussion with Eddie Hearn for a fight against Hamadouche, and hopefully that will happen in May if we can all agree on the terms.
I hope so too. I mean, you guys are creating a very interesting, a lot of communication, a lot of chatter in this particular weight division. Is this the most exciting weight division for women in boxing? Where do you think you are compared to the others?
No, it definitely is the most exciting weight division in boxing. But like, honestly, all this attention and drama and sort of talking back and forth, it really started with me. I've been very open and very verbal, and it's a part of the game, because at the end of the day, this is entertainment, right? And it's a little tougher when you are females and you're not getting the type of respect and attention that the men are. So I decided that I had to spice it up a little bit and get everyone talking and going. And in the process, I think the entire UK hates me, but it's going to make for a good fight, a spicy division. I think that by the end of 2021, we will have an undisputed champion. As long as, if I get this fight against Meva and Choi and Harper can fight, then there's no reason why we shouldn't have an undisputed champ by the end of the year.
Absolutely. I love how you get the British fans involved. They're just as passionate with you as they are about the male fighters, as I've been watching all the back and forth. And then you've got Terry, and then Terry's manager is getting into it. And you've been consistent with your role the whole time. I want my fight. She said I had to get a belt. I'm here with my belt. Now I can't get the fight. So what's up? So, what's some of the most ridiculous excuses that you've heard back from some of the fans of these other women fighters about why the fight can't happen, why the fight's your fault that it's not happening, and just ridiculous things?
I mean, even before, okay, so before I got this shot at the world, basically people going, "Who are you? Well, you're go get sorry, hello,
Okay.
sorry, someone called. Who are you? You're nobody, blah blah." And I'm like, "What are you guys talking about? I have the bigger resume. I'm an Olympian. I have been number one contender in this division for over a year. Like, I had to like fact check them and say, look, very, very, very relevant." So I just thought that was funny. And then you still even have people to this day saying like, "Who are you? Nobody knows you." And I'm like, I'm a world champion. I'm literally someone that your fighter needs a fight against if she wants to accomplish her dreams and become undisputed champion. So it's just funny that people are still saying that, but and you know, UK fans go hard for each other. They really do. I mean, I've had some pretty mean tweets at me, but I have thick skin. I don't care. Like, again, I'm doing this because you have a short lifespan as an athlete, you know, and I'm 30 now. I feel like I haven't even hit my prime though, and I still feel like I have a lot left in me. But at the end of the day, I can't box forever, so I'm here to make the best fights, fight the best people possible, and make some money and build women's boxing and have fun doing it. So at the end of the day, it's just business for me. I always tell people I tweeted this a few times. I'm quite lovely in person. I'm actually a really person, but I think that I've definitely rubbed people the wrong way. But again, just business.
I love the way you navigate it though. It's very interesting because you're very specific about what you want, but it's never, I don't know, maybe I just like a little bit of drama because I like a little bit of drama, but I just love the way you talk to them. There was an exchange you had recently and it tickled me to death when you're talking about one of the other five, I think it was Terry, and you're like, I said something nice, you know, what do you want?
I said I finally have something nice to say, Terry Harper, because people were tweeting at me saying, "Oh, Tasha Jonas should get a rematch. Tasha Jonas should get a title fight, or a chance to redeem herself." But then I was like, honestly, you guys, I watched that fight and I scored it a draw. Like, I don't think that Natasha Jonas did enough to win, and unfortunately, at this point in the game, like, it's going to be hard for her to get a second chance. Like, we're going for unification now. These belts are taken and we want to unify. So I don't think that Tasha should like have a right to a rematch or have a right to anything. I don't think she did enough to beat the champ, and that's one thing I sort of defend Terry on. I don't think she needs to give her a rematch. I think she can go ahead and continue to unify these belts.
Mm-hmm. That was a very interesting conversation because I think people don't always understand what ring generalship is, and you made mention of that. And you know, everybody likes their different styles that they like to watch, whether it's a brawl or a chess match, or you know, people like different fans anyway, like different types of styles. What do you think that fans misunderstand the most about scoring in professional fighting? Because we're seeing it different on TV and we're privy to see it close. The ref might be on the wrong side, the judges are on a different side. What do you think people get wrong the most when they're observing a fight? If you could give them advice on how to properly score a
Well,
fight and observe it.
when you're judging a 10-round fight, you can't just watch the fight at the end and say, "Oh yeah, I think that person won." You have to sit down and score each round. And that's what I did. And I would have given Tasha, I think that she could have easily won 2 more rounds in that fight, except there was periods where she was letting Terry Harper back her up against the ropes. And like, that's what you learn. I think that's something that I've learned from the amateurs is when you're against the ropes, you're retreating for one, and you're not holding the center of the ring, and you're not, which is part of ring generalship, and all the judges can't see you. That's why they teach you to stay center of the ring, because all 4 judges are able to see you at that point. So that's just what we learn coming up, especially in the amateurs, and there's a lot of close fights, and that's why little things like that are so important, and they instill that in us so much, you know, staying off the rope, staying out of the corner. And so yeah, it was a close fight. It was really close, but I think that if Tasha learns how to hold the center of the ring better and doesn't let herself get backed up, then maybe she would have won the fight, but she didn't do that. And something like that will lose you a fight. Littlest thing.
Mhm. And lastly, before I let you head on in for your workout, women's pound for pound. Who is on Mikaela Mayer's women? Are you even a pound for pound person? It's
No
very
one asked.
subjective. And
I
are you into it?
know. I was like, I'm like totally not into the pound for pound list because, or I wasn't until recently, because I think we were in such a like a transitional time for women's boxing where we had finally all these women coming up. We had women fights on TV, and I felt like we needed another year or so to really kind of establish who is top pound for pound boxers. I've finally been put on the pound for pound list. I've seen a couple lately, and I'm either 7, 8, 9, or 10, which is cool and everything. And I definitely plan on working my way up, and I think that'll happen naturally. Becoming undisputed and then moving up to 135 and doing all that, but. yeah, I think the girls that are on there now are the top names in women's boxing, and they're all deserving to be on there. And it's just going to be interesting to see how that who climbs up the ranks like in the next year or two, just because I mean women's boxing just changing so much.
All right. Well, ma'am, I thank you for your time. I hope we get you in May. I hope that Mikey doesn't pop out on you, or Mark or one of them pop out on you again, because they might get dropped next time.
I'm
But
sure
I
they'll
do
be.
appreciate your time, and I enjoy watching you fight. And I hope I get to talk to you again the sooner than the later.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We'll talk again soon.
Take care.